Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today for my tutorial on Mecha World PvP. If you've not played it before, Mecha World is brought to you by FGL, who has also brought Cosmic Clash, which is a 5v5 auto battler with spaceships that you upgrade, collect, and fight on a leaderboard throughout seasons and tournaments to gain some pretty valuable prizes. I highly recommend you checking them out. Mecha World, the story behind Mecha World is that humanity has gone extinct through what was called the organic erase. The mechas were originally pets, but they have gained sentience and evolved, and now explore the landscape for a variety of reasons. Just to explore, some find weapons and gear, some decide to try to help heal the planet. There's a lot of lore being created behind this, which I also like. I love a good story. But among all that, the purpose of this is the beta PvP. We've been so excited, waiting for this to happen, and now it's here. And I am going to show you how to play this game. So, first off, before we get started, I'm going to go to the white paper here at times. Not right now, but I will go to that white paper. It is filled with information. I highly recommend you read it yourself, but I'll be pointing out some tidbits there. So first, head on over to mechaworld.io and then hit play now, and it'll take you to the game. We have questing, workshop, battle, land. Another time I'll go through all that, but today we're talking about battling. It'll take you to your screen of all your mechas. Keep in mind, we are in the beta phase. When the game actually goes live, there will be a cooldown after every time you battle with a mecha. So I think it's going to be either 1 or 2 hours. I do not think they've cemented that yet, but you will not be able to constantly battle with one mecha. That's to keep people from constantly picking their best. Up here on the left, my Impetus Scarlet is my best mecha right now. You can see all the different gear that's on him. Another really cool thing about this game is that the NFTs actually change depending on what gear you give them. This one here, he has some rockets on his back, and I think he's got a couple of internal parts you can't see. Parts are very scarce. They're very powerful, and they're very valuable. On quests, you can actually have a chance of finding NFTs of more mechas to add to your group, or NFTs themselves that you can either put on your mechas to make them more powerful or sell on the secondary market or trade even. And who knows how that's going to happen. Like I said, we're still in early stages and there's a lot coming. But once again, I say, check it out for yourself. Once you're here in battle, oh, by the way, the reason I was saying all that is because we're in beta, we can use the same mecha over and over again. There is no cooldown. So I'm going to pick my best guy. You'll get a chance to see what your power ups are. We'll get into that a little bit later. I have 3 power up dice and 4 power up rolls. And then I hit play. You'll then enter the arena. There will be a loading screen. And then you will be put into a queue to actually play a battle. There are 2 in game players right now, myself and MR5XO. I am going to now stop here so I can show you different aspects of the game without feeling rushed during game time. So bear with me and we'll head right into that. Here you will see the dice that you will be using for the game. You have a 4-sided die, numbers 1 through 4, 6-sided die, numbers 1 through 6, 8-sided 1 through 8, so forth and so on, with a 10-sided die, a 12-sided die, and a 20-sided die. Now, basic gameplay is all of your dice will roll, and you will pick one to lock. You want to pick the most strategic rolls that you get, not necessarily the highest roll that you get. Case in point, if you get a 10 on a 10-sided die, that's amazing. That's the best roll you can get on that 10-sided die. Most likely you're going to hold on to that. If you get a 10 on a 20-sided die, that's much different. Not a great roll. Obviously, not the worst, but there's lots of numbers that you can get that's better than a 10. You probably will not hold on to the 10 on a 20 sided die, even if it is the biggest number at the board at the time. If you have a 10 on a 20 sided die and a 4 on a 4 sided die, the 4 is the much better hold. Keeping that in mind, all of your dice are going to roll. You're going to pick one and you're going to lock it. And this will go back and forth between you and your opponent or opponents. The more the merrier in this game. And once somebody has all of their dice locked, then the round will finish and that'll be the end of the game. All of the points will be tallied, and whoever has the most points will win the game. Keep in mind, when the game is over, all of the person's dice will be tallied, whether it's locked or not. So it is possible for someone to be lucky and have an unlocked die with a high number and still get credit for those points. Now, if the game was only taking turns rolling dice and hopefully getting a higher number than those around you, then the game would only be luck based. That is not the case. You also have a chance to do power ups during the game. Power ups are just a little bit more complicated, but once you do it a couple times, it gets really easy. First, I'm going to show you what those power ups can be. You're going to roll dice. You're going to get somewhere between a 1 and a 12. And depending on the roll that you get, you will get to do different things. A 1 gives you an ability to re-roll your dice. A 4 gives you a chance to stab your opponent and give them a -1 on their total. The 12 gives you a poison, and that gives them a -1 to their score at every turn. And it's not just every one of their turns; it's anybody's turns. So if someone gets poisoned early on, I feel bad for them. The number of power up dice that are used is determined by your mecha level, as you can see by this chart in the white paper. Level 1 to 10, you only get to roll a d4. So at that early of a stage, the highest number you can roll is a 4, which allows you to do stab, will be the highest ability you can use. At 11 through 25, you can get a d4 and a d6, which brings your powers to 6, which means the highest you can do is haunt. And as you can see, the higher your levels, the more dice you get to use. One cool thing is that FGL partnered with Draco Dice. If you own a Draco Dice, you can use one per day to give yourself an extra D12. So even at level 1, if you have a Draco Dice, you can get a D4 and a D12. You can have as many Draco Dice as you want, but you can only use one per battle per day to get that bonus. So now you know how to get your power up dice and what they mean. All that's left is to tell you how often you can roll those dice. That is determined by the parts equipped on your mecha. Not only do those parts increase your luck, giving you a better chance to find NFTs on your quests, they make you more powerful by giving you the chance to get more power up rolls. And how that works is depending on how many parts are on your mecha, you get bonuses. As you can see here, for every common part that you wear, you get 2 times luck. Uncommon is 3, rare is 4, very rare is 5. So, remembering that, they give you an example a little bit higher up here on how that affects you when it comes to power up dice. Right here. If the mecha has an uncommon, rare, very rare, and ultra rare part fitted, that means that you get a 3x, 4x, 5x, and a 6x multiplier for a total of 18x. You then divide whatever your total multiplier is by 10 and then round up. So in this case, you have an 18x multiplier. You divide it by 10, you get 1.8. Round that up to 2. You get 2 extra power up die every battle. Because everyone starts with 1, automatically you would get total of 3 power up die. Like I said, it's a little weird, a little complex, but it's really not once you just do it a couple times. So bear with me, you'll be an ace in no time. So, to finish this up, I'm going to take you through one of my previous games. I'm going to go step by step and kind of explain what's going on here. So, let's see, let's start. So player one gets to go, and he gets to see his dice. Now we see here on the four-sided, he gets a one, six-sided, a one. Eight-sided, he gets an eight. That's what's called a perfect roll. 1 out of 10, 7 out of 12, 6 out of 20. So eight out of on an eight-sided die is the best roll, so that should be the one that gets picked. Now he's going to get a choice to use his power-up die. If you look over here under the mechas, you can see there's a little cube with a one. He used a power-up die. I have four. He started with two. He used one in this spot. He rolled Haunt. That's make one die of an opponent invisible for 2 rounds. So since I'm his only opponent, he's going to pick me, and one of my die is going to keep rolling every turn, but it'll be invisible. I have no idea what came up. Sometimes a person is forced pretty much to pick the invisible die, which is always fun because you never know what you got. I'm gonna go back just a second here so I can show you the dice rolling. There is where you see your power up die roll. He rolled a 3 and a 6. That means the 6 is going to be the power that gets used. When it rolls the power up die, the highest number is what gets chosen to show which power up you're using, unless there are doubles. If there are doubles or more, whichever number shows up the most is what gets picked. So if there were 3 dice and he had a 6, a 1, and a 1, the 1 would be the power up die because it is shown more often. In this case, he got Haunt, and he's about to make one of my die invisible. It's randomly done. You get to pick which person to use it against, but it's random on which die gets used. And in this case, I remember this. He didn't. I guess he didn't click on my person on time because nothing was done to me. So he didn't get it. You got to. It's a very quick game. You got to make your moves fast. On mine, 3, 1, 3, 3, 11, 16. The 3 out of a 4 and the 16 out of a 20 and the 11 out of a 12 would be what you're first looking at. 11 out of 12 is, my opinion, the best. 3 out of a 4 is pretty high, but even if in the end you only get a 1, you're only sacrificing a few points. You don't want to risk getting something lower than an 11 on a 12-sided die. So that's the way I would have went, I think. Let's see if that is the way I went. And did I use a power up? Yes, I did. Got a 5, which was lightning. I like lightning a lot. Every player, especially when you have 4 players, every opponent unlocks 1 die. You can see in this position, my opponent here had an 8, a perfect 8 on an 8-sided die. Guess what? Thanks to lightning, he no longer has that. 3, 2, 1, 6, 12, 16. 12 on a 12-sided die. That's a perfect roll. I would not let that go. He picked the 3 there. If I think he went AFK. If you go AFK, no, because he picked stab. Not quite sure why he made that rule. I would have been all over that 12. So I'm guessing he just made a decision. He might have missed it, or he might have had some logic behind it. Had a lot of bad rolls here. To minimize damage, I used my worst and lowest die, which is the 4, so that I got a 2 out of a 4, which is much better than getting like a 5 out of a 20. So kind of a mixed bag here. 9 out of a 12, 7 out of a 10, or a 5 out of an 8. A 10 out of a 12 here, best roll. And I did use a power up. Gave me stab, which takes 1 point away from an opponent's final score. And you can see that shows up here. 3 out of a 6, 5 out of an 8 are probably one of the 2 best choices here. Neither one of them's ideal, but it's better than the other two. He didn't. He's out of power up die. This is where it's an advantage to have power up die. When you run out, you're pretty much at the mercy of whatever rolls you get, and you can't affect your opponent. While your opponent can still affect you if they have power up die left. Stagger. Make a random die of an opponent unable to roll for 1 round. That's a very strategic one. A lot of times when you get a power up die, you're kind of thinking, I want to go for whoever has the most points. But you got to keep in mind, let's say you're playing a multiplayer game, right? And the guy who has the most points, on his last turn he locked a die, but he had an amazing roll. What if he rolled all perfect dice, right? So he picked the 20, but he got a 12 on his 12-sided die, a 10 on his 10-sided die, an 8 on his 8-sided die. The last thing you want to do is lock any of his dice, because even if all of his other dice come up crap, whichever one gets locked is still perfect. So you got to be careful with that. In that case, you would not always want to go after whoever's leading. A lot of strategy involved as you play this game. So I picked him, and I froze his. That's a great roll. He had a 2 on his 20. That's amazing. That means if all of his other rolls are crud, hey, take the crud or take a 2 on your 20. That was a great lucky roll for me at that point. And we're getting into the nitty gritty, and you can see, do I want to take a 3 on my 20 or a 2 on my 6? Not much of a decision there. And Torment, another nice one. Unlock a random lock die from an opponent. It is so painful. I have seen it done. Roger, if you're listening, this one's for you. Roger will get 20s every game, at least one time. And the best thing to do when he gets a 20 is pray you get Torment and unlock that 20 before he beats you. So I'm going to unlock one of his die, maybe the 6, if that'd be nice. Nope, I got the 5. Not the best one, but at this point, I'm kind of dominating the game. So 3 out of an 8, a 5 out of a 12, or a 16 out of a 20. The 16 out of a 20 is a good roll. It's above average. It's not great. You kind of, for me personally, I want to get at least an 18 on my 20-sided die. But you can't always, you can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need. All right. Let's see, I had the 5 there. If you look at the points, let's see, he won by 2 points. Now, it seemed like I was dominating that game. I want to go back and show you. All right, there we go. So if you look at the scores, I have 38. He has 32. We both have a -1. So obviously it looks like I'm going to win, right? But remember what I said. All the dice get counted at the end of the game, whether they are locked or not. So he has 32 points. But if you look at his unlocked die, he's got a 3 and a 5 for a total of 8. Add that to your 32, gives him 40. Minus the 1 for the stab puts him at 39, while all my dice total 38, minus my stab puts me at 37. He winds up winning that game, even though at the time I played this game, I felt I was dominating until that 5 on the 20-sided die hit. And even now during the rematch, or should I say re-showing of this with you guys, I felt I was dominating and completely missed the fact that I was not counting his power-up die, or his unlocked die. But anyway, that's how a game goes. That's pretty much how you play a game of PvP dice battle in Mecha World. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a message. Look me up at Twitch, Krellborn2182. I'm going to stream some games when I can. Maybe even play some Cosmic Clash every now and then if you want to see what that's like. Hit me up there. Look for the Discord, FGL's Discord. You can get in there. Great community. And everyone's really happy to help. And if you want to have advice, great place to be. Hit up that Discord. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for letting me share this with you and joining me on this ride. Have a good one.